Well, after a week away from the theater to catch up on work and family, I finally have a new review for you guys. So let's talk about Transformers: The Last Knight. So Transformers: The Last Knight is the 5th installment in the Transformers franchise, and it's the continuing adventure of Mark Wahlberg's journey with the Autobots. The government's still hunting down the Autobots, and Mark Wahlberg has become a bit of a legend amongst various groups for helping out the Autobots, and finally Optimus Prime has turned against our Autobot friends. And honestly, there's no other word I can use to describe it. Walking out of the theater tonight, I was pissed. First of all, for a movie with Transformers in the title, I don't think it's a very good thing when 80% of the time, I think the Autobots and Decepticons could have been taken out of the movie and the movie would have been no different. No joke, everything from the government hunting down every Transformer they can find to Optimus Prime's crusade to bring back Cybertron has so little screen time that you begin to wonder if it even matters. Here's the answer for you, it doesn't. So let's focus on some human performances and some characters we don't care about. Anthony Hopkins is added to the cast, so you think with Anthony Hopkins and Mark Wahlberg, there should be some enjoyable scenes at least. But nope, Anthony Hopkins overcooks it just like everybody else does in this movie and delivers that shtick annoying Michael Bay dialogue that we're sick of hearing at this point. But although I do realize that Anthony Hopkins seemingly was over the top, he wasn't useless to the plot, like the 14-year-old girl that Mark Wahlberg saves or the intern he hires. I can understand what Michael Bay was trying to do with the 14-year-old girl, and I respect it because he was trying to show some women's empowerment, and that is very important, but ultimately it came across as forced in a character you could not connect to, and don't get me started on his intern. My annoyance in him was only matched by my annoyance in the continual change of the aspect ratio. And for those who may not know, an aspect ratio is ultimately the height and width of a picture that is being presented to a person. There are generally two aspect ratios that most people know about. There's the full screen, like what you're watching on this video right now, and then the widescreen when you have the black bars on top and on bottom like so. Transformers: The Last Knight switched between these two aspect ratios so much, I left the theater with a giant headache. Now, although the lack of Transformers, the lack of good performances, and the really terrible editing in this movie annoyed me, the plot is the absolute worst. Honestly, I don't even think I can call it that. Everything that we learned about the previous Transformers movies and the events they're in, they just don't matter anymore. Transformers: The Last Knight just completely did away with all of it. For instance, Colonel Lennox is in this movie for goodness knows what reason. But even through all the wars and battles that him, the Autobots, and Sam Witwicky had been through, he still decides to join the government and hunt all the Transformers down? There are outrageous screenplays that get into producers' desks that never see the light of day. Guys, I don't understand how Transformers: The Last Knight was ever allowed to be filmed. I guess what Mr. Krabs said is right, because at the end of the day, it's not what's best for the story or the character development that matters. What matters the most? Money, 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 money. Honestly, guys, amidst the terrible performances and the bloated nature this film ultimately has, it's up there with Resident Evil, the final chapter for me. And sadly, I really hope that Michael Bay does not return to this franchise, because Transformers: The Last Knight, stay in your shorts. I hope you guys understand. I'm not going to ask you if you've seen this movie. I just can't bring myself to do it. But what I do want to know is, what other summer blockbusters coming out are you looking forward to? Leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts. And if you like what you've heard here and you want to see more, click right there and subscribe and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema. You all have a fantastic day.